Hello again. So last year I did an experiment where I used a little old freezer and used it as a root cellar outside, layering the beets and roots in wood shavings, and it worked quite well. It got me through most of the winter, and the what I learnt was that it seems that the main thing is for the conditions inside the container. It has to be fairly stable, temperature-wise, moisture-wise. So I knew that this year I would have to scale up because I was expecting a lot more beets and roots. And I do have this cellar under the house, but it's not a very good cellar. The temperature fluctuates a lot. It gets very damp down there. When the snow melts in the spring, it even gets a layer of water on the floor. But I had this big polystyrene box that seals quite nicely. So this is what I'm going to base this year's experiment on. So I'm going to be using wood shavings again because that seemed to work quite well. And here I am just getting things set up, putting in the first layer of wood shavings, on top of which I'll be able to lay the first layer of beets and roots. So I'm going to do the first load of beets down into the box in the cellar. Just been to the field. These are all different sizes, different varieties. This is a Cylindra beetroot. This is a Detroit. Got yellow root as well, some small ones, just thinning stuff out. So I've got a lot of roots, and I'm going to do the first layer of beets. Now, on the question of the wood shavings, should they be wet or dry? Seen some people that wet them, some people that leave them dry. Seems that both systems work. If I was filling the whole box up at once, I think I might leave it dry. But because I'm going to have to do this slowly, layer by layer over time, that means there's a lot of air left in that box. So I'm worried that the air is going to suck the moisture out, kind of thing. So I'm actually going to spray very, very little bit of water onto the shavings. The reason that I'm going to have to do it slowly over time is, for instance, these are parsley roots that I just pulled today, and obviously some of those need to be left in a bit longer. So then I had an idea. I think it's a good one, because it's quite possible that these aren't going to get washed, that there might be some bugs on here, maybe even in the sawdust. So I'm going to spray the wood shavings, but I'm going to spray it with a solution of chlorine dioxide. Now, I've made a batch of chlorine dioxide. I'll bring it out in a second, and it's I think it's a 3,000 parts per million concentration, and I'm going to make a 30 parts per million concentration, put it in the spray bottle, and I'm going to use that for wetting the sawdust. So here's my chlorine dioxide. It's been 48 hours reacting in the dark, but now the colours are equalised. Should still be in the dark, but it's best to do this part outside because of the fumes. And there we go. That's 3,000 parts per million. Into a dark bottle to protect it from sunlight. But before I put the whole bottle away in the dark, just going to get 10 millilitres of this. Okay, it's 11, but so now we're at 30 parts per million, which is fine for spraying on vegetables. I mean, you can drink it at that. Not saying you should. I do, but not saying you should. No medical advice, but let's face it, if you're taking your medical device off of some guy on YouTube, then you've got much bigger problems. You need more than just a gut cleanse. And that's what I'm going to spray onto the wood shavings. Put this in an old whiskey box, and that'll go in the fridge. This I'll probably drink. Now the leaves are going to the rabbits. I know we can eat these, but we've got so much spinach ready now that those will go to the rabbits and make the rabbits very happy. Obviously the leaves for the parsley root I'm going to be processing and drying. Now I'm actually going to put a thermometer in here. I've got a little thermometer with a long probe, so I can have the thermometer in here and be able to tell what the temperature is outside the box, and I'll put a temperature here in the cellar as well, so we can keep an eye on the temperature difference. So the lid fits quite tightly, which is good. The date today is the 13th of August, I think. So that's the first ones going in, and there's going to be so we've already got some yellow root, we've got some beetroot, we've got some parsley root in there. So there's going to be loads more parsley root coming, loads more beetroot and yellow root, but we're also going to have the carrots and the parsnips and the salsify. So this should fill up quite quickly. I am still using last year's system around the back of the house, the little freezer that I did a little series on, because I know that at least gets us through to being able to eat the beets after Christmas, February, March. But what I'm hoping for with this one is that we're actually going to get all the way through to we're eating those beets that I just put in there. The first ones that go in will be the last ones that come out around this time of year. So around the time of year where the new beets are in the field, around the time when the new beets are ready in the field, so we've got beets all year round. That's the hope. So the box gradually filled up with all the various beets. As I harvest them, we'll just come in and do a layer or a layer and a half, and then cover them with the wood shavings, spray them with the chlorine dioxide solution, and the box gradually filled up. I didn't manage to get it filled all the way to the top, which is what I'd hoped for, but that was because my Swedes and turnips both failed this year, which is a huge disappointment. But now I've got a fairly good grasp of how much room I actually need, and this box will still be, if it works, will be big enough to house all the beet for next year. And my hope is that the chlorine dioxide not only kills any bugs that might be in there, but prevents or hopefully stops any possible molds and stuff like that, because it's an antibacterial and everything. So as I'm editing this and uploading it, it is mid-November, and now the experiment starts. I will post updates, a few of them, over the next few months as we use the beets. And the barrel, by the way, that I've got next to the big box is there because as I start to take out the wood shavings, digging out the beets as we use them, I need somewhere to put those wood shavings, so that's what that there is for. But I will update and let's see if this new system works.